Hello guys, so I hope you can hear me alright. I've had to put the camera quite far back. Basically today I'm going to be covering what I said I was going to do, which is Firestorm. It's quite a complicated basically game to cover, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and like streamline it down, and the reason I've got all these books out is because there'll be plenty of people covering Firestorms and doing it a lot better than I can. What I'm trying to do with this, and if you go back to some of my previous videos, because I'm primarily a role player, I'm trying to integrate it so that you could do it as almost like a role play campaign rather than just getting two armies together, battling and going home. So I've been trying to do it. When I did Skirmish, I then sort of integrated it into Path to Glory, and then told you how you could go along to do just the normal Age of Sigmar. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to sort of introduce Firestorm into these and the normal Age of Sigmar, and try and sort of collaborate it into one big, almost like role play slash wargaming campaign. So we'll look at the book, we'll look at what you get in the book and everything, and we'll talk a little bit about the history, and then we'll basically go into how the game works and how we can incorporate it into Skirmish and Path to Glory. Right guys, so here it is. Here's the box. So what you actually get inside. Let's take the lid off. If we can get the lid off. Okay. You get a pack of 4 cards, four sleeve holders. These are for your decks. These are for you to put your, you get little strips to put your names on with non-permanent markers on here for each of your 4 factions or whatever. You get the map of the region, which is the Firestorm Plateau, and that it's like one of your traditional board games type material. It's quite sturdy. Really good quality. Get this last piece out. There you go, you can see that. Really good quality map. So let's look at the map in a bit more detail. So you have these 4 circles here on each corner, and that's basically where you start your armies from. And you'll see little things on the map, like for example these crossed warhammers, and then you've got things like the Titan works there, the Infinity Gears, and they'll all make a bit more sense as we go along. So what else do you get? You get a shed load of these stickers, and these are reusable. So you can peel them off, and once you put them on the table, they'll come back off. These are for writing your details on. These are strongholds, and obviously your different factions and everything like that. And then you get a card for each one: the blue, the green, which is I suppose meant to represent like order, destruction, chaos, death. Lots of other markers there. These are your things you put onto your corners when you choose which faction you're going to be. And they're meant to go, these peel off and they're meant to be able to go back on. What I'm going to do personally is I'm going to find some sort of, either put them on a base or create my own base, put them on, and then they'll just be permanently affixed to them, and then you can just take them on and off, and there's no chance of it ever sort of wearing down or getting lost or whatever. Also, you get a load of cards. So bear with us 1 second, I'll get the cards out. Okay guys, so these are the cards in all the glory. I've only opened 1 deck because I'm not going to be doing this until I've gone. I'm going to go through skirmish all the way through until I've got an army big enough to play this. So I've only opened one card. I have one deck, and I've opened up. All of this here comes as one set. We'll talk about these in a bit, and we'll talk about all these in a bit. But basically, your domain cards are just things that give you bonuses for when you're doing your battles. But like I said, we'll talk about that in the actual rules later on. So you get them, and that's your bit. That's what you get, guys. So your sleeves, these are your things earlier. This is basically what you put your cards in. Because while you're doing the campaign, the campaign could last for 6 months. The way that they perceive the campaign's going to be, that it's going to be a bunch of mates, and they're going to sort of, these things are close to your chest type of thing, almost like if you're playing Risk or you're playing Monopoly or whatever you're playing, you know, one of those type of games where you have poker, where you have to keep your cards close to your chest. So they sort of perceive it that you're going to put your stuff in these envelopes and take them home with you, and when you come to do a battle, you have to bring the envelope with you. If you forget the envelope, then you don't get the battle, and you have to basically concede the victory to the, or if you can't make a battle, you have to concede victory to your opponent, which is absolute nonsense. But yeah, so that's what you get, guys. It's £40, which, you know, I know it's quite steep, but yeah. So we'll talk a bit about the lore of this actual game, and then we'll go into the rules. 1 second, guys. This whole region is the Flamescar Plateau, and what it says is that, like, centuries ago, this magocracy called the Agloraxi Empire dominated the Flamescar Plateau, and they were really powerful mages, and they were so powerful they didn't have time for normal servitude. So basically, they created these powerful automatons to serve for them and fight for them, and they created this huge weapon called the Prismaticon, right? And they needed something to power this weapon. So what they did, they found this creature called the Fulminax that lived under this span of mountains, and they're using their like servants. They captured the Fulminax and they chained it in these like unbreakable chains, and used it to siphon like its energy to power this Prismaticon, this weapon. So they created these things called the Scepters of Flame as well, and what they could do with these Scepters of Flame was they could like change the angle of the Prismaticon where they wanted to fire it at. And the leaders of the Grand Magi, these Agloraxi Empire, they use these scepters as like staffs of, they were called the Archdomini, as like staffs of office. And basically they were the rulers of this land, and they lived on these floating towers. The best way to describe this book, for anyone who's played World of Warcraft, is if you think of Uldur and sort of like the Titans and things like that, because it just sounds a bit like a spin-off of that. You've got floating mage islands, and Infinity Gears, big holes in the wall in the floor and things like that, and chained beasts, dragon type beasts under the ground. What does that remind you of? So basically, Khorne found out about these magi and their arrogance, and he was infuriated. So he sent a horde of his chaos bloodbound, or whatever, his demons to go and attack them. And basically, the use of the Prismaticon didn't blink an eye. Used the Prismaticon and wiped his army out to a demon. And finding out about this, he was absolutely enraged. So he came down himself and he destroyed the Agloraxi, just wiped out the empire, and all of their artifacts and things like that, including this Prismaticon, was spread throughout the lands. Basically, artifacts, ruinous artifacts, dotted all over the Flamescar Plateau. The reason I'm telling you about that is because that's a part of the game. That's a part of, you know, finding these artifacts and things like that are actually part of the campaign. Okay, so to start the game, what you do is you get this thing here, one of these. I don't want to peel it off, like I say, guys. This is called a realm gate marker, and what you do, you place it in the infinity gears part of the map here, right? Which again, like I said, that's why I said earlier, it's really good to get this one here, control this. So you then all roll off, and whoever gets the highest picks where they go. Roll off again till everyone's basically who's playing the campaign gets to pick a corner that they want to be in. You then all pick an altar, which is these little cards, these little stickers here, right? You'll peel them off, but like I say, I'm going to use markers, stick them to something permanently, and then you pick a part of the realm. You have to write it in secret and pick a part of the realm that you want this altar to be on. And then what you do is basically you all reveal where your altar's going to be, and if two people pick the same part of the realm, then neither can build there, and they don't get anything there. Okay, then everybody who's doing the campaign picks an envelope, and like you say, you write your name, the general's name or your name, probably the general's name, on the front there. And then you keep, this is your envelope that you're going to be taking home with you or wherever, and you have to keep that. All your cards are going in there, everything is going in there. So that's, each faction gets their own little envelopes, and they have to keep them safe and sound. Okay, once you've sorted that out, you all get a set of control, which are these things here, garrison markers, which is these things here, and an army marker, which is this here. So if you control a region, you put these control markers onto the actual region. For example, Valley of the Gods, you put your control marker in there. You can also garrison them, and when you garrison them, it basically gives you an extra domain point when you're playing there. As I say, it's quite complicated, I'll go into that in a bit. And this is your army marker. This basically shows your opponents where your army is on the board. Then what you do next is you take these things away. These are secret objective cards, and they're things like, let's just pick one at random. Win a battle against a player whose army had more muster points than your army. So we talked about muster points earlier. So let's say he had 4 muster points and you had 2. If you win that battle, then you'll get 3 extra glory points for doing that, and that is your secret objective. If you complete your secret objective, you just pick another one out again. So what you do is you get dealt 3, so I deal 3 to a player. They look at the ones they want, pick the one that they would think would be most favourable, take that, and put the other 2 back in the back into the pack. And then what they do then is they get the card, they have a secret objective which they don't tell anyone else about, goes in there, and that just stays with them then, as well as their army markers and the garrison markers. Just take a, you know, on each thing you get an absolute stack. So you probably take, if I was putting these on 2p coins, for example, or 28mm bases, you'd maybe just take that row there and put them in there as well. Okay, so the next thing you do, guys, is you get your domain cards for your army. And it's the core domain cards you use first of all. The rest you keep to one side. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 core domain cards in total. So you shuffle them up and stick them in your pack and keep them with you at all times. Then when you're about to have a battle with somebody, give them a good shuffle, and then you deal out 6 of the domain cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The other 2 go into your pack, and these are the cards that you take with you into battle. So you look at, we'll use these. So let's say you're playing a 1500 point army battle, sorry. So here you've got +3 muster points, so which basically is then going to allow you to take it up to 1800 point army. Another +3 muster points, so there you've got your maximum of 2000 points. Another D3 muster points, wasted card because you've hit your total. And then this one gives you another muster point wasted, but it gives you a +1 build point. So this you get if you win the battle. So you'll keep this card to one side, and then +3 muster points, and then this is +1 strategy point, +1 muster point. Muster points wasted, strategy point keep to one side. So what build points do is you can use these to do things like put garrisons that we, these things. There you go. You get to put a garrison. If you spend a build point, you get to put a garrison on your piece of land. And what that does then is, if you're fighting a battle on a piece of land that you have a garrison on, instead of drawing 6 domain cards at the start of the battle, you get to draw 7. Yeah, so that's build points. So the other one is strategy points. You can use them before going into battle, and they're basically, I mean, some of them, the cost here, this 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, is a cost of strategy points. You can use at the start of the battle. So for example, 3 here, Firestorm, that is huge. Picks terrain feature. No model can finish a move in or on that terrain feature. In addition, enemy models that started in or on it and remain so at the end of the enemy's first movement phase are slain. I mean, if you use that and you get first turn, that's insane. You could wipe out a behemoth, you could wipe out a leader, anything on that. Really powerful stratagem. Okay, so another thing that build points can be used for is to buy domain cards, and this is where the other cards come in. So you have things like the upgrade card here, for an example, and this costs 4 build points. So you would have to pay 4 build points. Now you can only have a maximum of 4 build points in your deck. So what you would do, you'd have 3 in your deck anyway, and then if you won a battle, you spoils a war, you get an extra build point. You'd have to spend them 4 build points to buy this. Otherwise, you'd have to get rid of that extra build point. You can only have a maximum of 3 in your actual wallet. So you would use the 4th to buy this straight after you'd won the battle. And what it does is it replaces a fortified camp. So basically, that's how you build them up. So the way you keep a track of them is you have glory points here. So let's say you managed to amass 4 glory points. You could just have 2 glory point cards, like have 2 lots of 2 of them, or 2 ones. It doesn't really matter. And that is a way of keeping track of how many glory points you've got. The way you win, one of the 2 ways you can win the campaign is to amass 30 glory points. The other way to do it, so the other thing you do is keeping track of your build points. Same thing again, like you say, the most you can have in your pack is 3. So you'd have you got your 3, you'd have your 3 there, and however many of them, and they'd go into your wallet as well. So as you say, the wallet is really important. Okay, so the way that you pick where you fight your battles is, you can pick one of whoever's in your campaign. Say there's another 3 people, you choose. The way it states is that you choose somebody who you want to do a battle with, which again is just nonsense, because you could just have 2 best mates choosing to battle with each other, amass a load of glory points and win the campaign. The better thing to do is to have like a ladder system or like a pyramid system, some sort of way to run a proper campaign like you would get in a club. And what they do is, say you're deep into the campaign, and for example, your orc boss Grubnak the Insane owns the Weird Flame Crests, and you've got I don't know, Grimny the Bearded One, the dwarf lord of High Thane from Order, owns the Spore Hollows. They both own regions. They can agree which region they want to fight in, one or the other. Or you can fight in a neutral, which hasn't been controlled by anyone. But what you can't do is, say for example, you've got Thrall the Eviscerator, a Corn Lord, who owns this region. You can't just decide you're going to fight in this region. You would have to, say you were the Orc, you would have to fight him. You'd have to say, I want to fight you to try and take over this region. But other than that, you can fight wherever you want, as long as it's not controlled by anybody. Okay, so we'll just start on the first mission. This absolute brilliant. Right, so surprise attack, the trap. Normal standard rule, Age of Sigmar battle plan rules, apart from in this battle plan, each player bids victory points for the attacker. Right, basically what you do is you write down your bid in victory points, and whoever scores the highest is the attacker. For example, if one player bids 500 points and then opponent bids 525, then the player who bid 500 points will be the defender, but would receive. And what happens is they receive wherever the bid is, the highest bid, they get that as a bonus victory points at the end of the fight, no matter what happens. So, for example, they would get the guy who ends up being the attacker, bid 525, so he won the bid and he becomes the attacker. The defender gets a bonus 525 victory points at the end of the fight, right? But in the actual setup and everything, there's negatives to being a defender. So the way the points are scored, right, for every, basically, the victory points are for every wounds characteristics of the models in the unit, they're multiplied by 10. So let's say you had a unit of 20 dwarves, right? That's 20 wounds times by 10, 200 wounds. So if you wiped out a unit of dwarves, that's 200 points. And it's the units have to be wiped out to score the points. So if you look there, it's for each unit destroyed, right? Not just the models, it's the units. You also get 100 extra victory points for killing the general. Let's say you had an army of, I don't know, 100 dwarves and you wiped out 80 of the dwarves, all with one wound. That's 800 points, 900 for the general. But obviously, if the defender is getting 525, you can see how apprehensive people are going to be about what they bid. So, to me, nothing beats this. I think Skirmish, I think it's been brilliantly wrought. I think you can have loads and loads of fun. I think it's a brilliant way to introduce your kids or your wives or partners or whoever, husbands, whatever, to the game of Age of Sigmar. Just brilliant. But for me, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring, and I've had a little change of heart on this now, knowing that this is you have to use all 4 factions. So I'm going to do, my wife's going to play Sylvaneth, my son, I don't know, but we're basically going to use all the 4 factions. We're going to start in Skirmish, and we're going to do the Skirmish campaign, and then we're going to build up and we're going to do the Path to Glory, use the Path to Glory book and go through those missions in there to build up to basically a 2,000 point army, right? And as we're playing the Skirmish game, instead of doing this region, it starts in the Vengeance. The Treasures of the Cataphrans here, right? Which is a brilliant storyline, right? I'm going to set it somewhere near here, right? So this is this thing about the sort of role playing element and the narrative element, right? So I'm going to set it somewhere near here, right? And this little raggedy band are going to eventually come into this region. So you've developed this band through from being a little ragtag band into a substantial force into a full-fledged army who are then going to come into this region. They're going to try and take over this region, and you're going to have your cards and you're going to have your stickers. And if you're doing it with your kids especially, and they've got their own little pouches, what they can keep in their bedrooms, or and they can identify with their armies rather than it just being someone that's going into a box. And to me, I think that's fantastic, and I think it's worth pushing on with this chaos, because it is chaotically wrought, but it can be organised. As I say, I've done it loads of times with loads of different roleplay stuff, and you can just sort through it. You do your own notes and you put little stickies on, and it takes a bit of work, but I really do think this is worth it, guys. And as I say, the actual rules themselves, once you've worked through them all, it's actually really good. Some of the things are ridiculous. Like they say that if your opponent misses a game, he has to you win, and you know, it even actually says if he's got life commitments and he has to forfeit, then you win. That's just absolute nonsense, right? Pure nonsense, right? And it also says you can pick whoever opponent you want. Again, that means you could have two best mates, and you've maybe got Joey who smells a bit and they don't like playing him that much. So he's getting left out, especially if you're playing like a kids thing, you know, after school thing or something. Again, just absolute garbage. To make this work, you need like a ladder system or like a pyramid system or some sort of gaming club system. Sorry. And forget this forfeiting games and all the rest of it. You just play when you can, and if you can't make it, you can't make it. So I think some of the guys who write this stuff, sometimes I think they live in these worlds. To be honest, they don't realise you have real lives and you have to do stuff. But that's going to be me finished, guys. This was I've said it. It was really hard, and you'll be able to tell how much I'm panicking and fluffing my words. It was really badly organised how it's wrote, so it's been really bad for me to video, to be honest. But as I say, the missions are absolutely fantastic, really well done. The bidding system is fantastic. The regions themselves, all the different, you know, the slaughter fields, the spore hollows, all have different negatives or positives. Really, really good. And using build points to add fortifications. What, you know, like you say, you've got your kids or even just your friends, and you know, it's got that sort of risk element where you might own 5 of the regions and your mates only own 3, so they say, hang on a minute, here, we need to work. You attack him this time, and then I'll attack. And it's that sort of tactical element, and you can do a bit of subterfuge. Another thing they put in here is that you can lend glory cards and things like that to your mates. Absolute nonsense. There's none of that going on in my house. I tell you, you play with the cards you've got. They're saying that you can basically lend the cards and then take them back at the end, so you have bonus points to spend. That's just a nonsense. Right? There ain't no Lord of Death is going to suddenly lend some of his lands to the Orc Warlord. It's just nonsense. But overall, guys, really good. Think of it not just as a standalone thing. Just me personally, I'm going to incorporate it through Skirmish, Path to Glory, and the normal game. And if you do it like that, it just gives you a sort of like a narrative background region to work with. And if you also think that this might be one of however many, I think Shadespire might knock that a little bit, to be honest. I think Shadespire, if it does well, they'll probably forget about this, to be honest. I hope they don't, but if they do, if they don't and they add extra maps, it could be really, really good. But yeah, anyway, guys, I've waffled on. I'm going to try and edit it out as best I can and make it a bit more organised. But I hope you get the basic gist of what it's all about, and hopefully you might get it. And I know some people are on about doing narrative campaigns. I think this will help towards that. And yeah, that's it, guys. So coming next, I think there's going to be get it painted, final 5 Marines. I've got to showcase them when they're almost finished, and we'll see what's after that, guys. So take care, and I'll see you soon. Take care, guys. Bye bye.